Hello.
Hey, what's up, Toby? We made it another week.
Are we on? Are we started?
We're rolling. Oh, we did it.
Hello, Process Podcast.
Welcome to the Process Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a topic that might be new to you, but have you heard of artificial intelligence?
Is this playing smart by keeping your mouth shut? What year is it? That's a time-honored tradition there.
I hear it's a thing.
Huh. Artificial. Yeah, Will Smith, he's in that, I think.
Will Smith. I think that was iRobot. That's in the way back time machine.
Oh, sweet.
No, I wanted to talk about AI and how it's entering into just the SaaS space.
It is interesting, right? Because we hear about big AI platforms.
Yep.
And at least for my part, and I'm kind of the front edge of I'm not a tinkerer. I'm not an early explorer. I have several friends like you that are forever curious about what's the next evolution. And then I'm about 2 to 3 steps behind. And so I remember for my part, I heard rumblings, but ChatGPT hit, I think the mainstream kind of in late summer, fall of 25 is kind of how it felt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're being inundated with all these things. And so now, at least for my part, I'm seeing AI inside of some of my SaaS tools, but I see these big AI systems that feel like all-knowing Google search engines that you spit anything at. But I think you're probably talking about not one or the other, but maybe a bit of a hybrid.
Yeah, I'm talking about kind of all of the above, right? And how they're being integrated and knitted into our tools that we use on a daily basis, whether we want it to or not. And so,
whether we want it to or not, I think is a really great, Chris. Want it to or not, maybe the heart of the conversation I'm going to want to dig into.
Yeah. So let me just share some of the stuff that I actually absolutely love and I think is totally brilliant on how some companies have integrated their AI. We use Loom, right? It's for recording videos. It does a fantastic job. It does a really, really good job of pulling videos and creating quick stuff. Loom has integrated their AI in 2 ways. It grabs the transcript, right? And so it'll actually give you a blurb and title the video based on your transcript or the URL in. It's brilliant. It's like, it's the way AI should be, which is like, it's there. It's super helpful and it's fantastic. The other thing that it does a
little task that you would have had to otherwise done that was just like one more little thing to finish. And so you get to focus on what matters.
Correct.
And then at least proposing. That's a good call.
Now, the hard part there is that if it's not following, it's going to give you a funky title and it's going to give you a bad description or something like that. But that's not a terrible problem. The other thing that it does that it's doing really cool, is you can do a how-to, right? So you shoot the video, you shoot a how-to, and it gives you basically the point in times in which it's how-to, like it walks you through the exact steps. First you do this and it gives you a video with the timestamp so that you can actually go watch it. Very cool stuff. Like just slick, like man, this is nice. So that's
for standard operating procedures.
It's
the ability
incredible.
to record a video. It used to be, and I lose the name right now. There was a specific product that we played with for a while.
Yeah. Scribehouse, the other one. They do a fantastic job as well.
Yeah. And that was their core proposition was you could do a click by click and it would segment each of those into a step. So now Loom is doing that. That's
Loom's doing that based on the transcript and it's great. So this is really good usage of AI. One of the other, we're in the Monday ecosystem. One of the other nice uses of Mondays that Monday has used is you can upload a file into Monday and you can have a column that basically reads based on a prompt from that AI file. It's awesome, right? So like you upload the file and it's like your prompt could be, I would like to know what the invoice number is. And it'll say invoice 12345. It's fantastic.
Interesting. So it's not just you said AI file, but I think you were saying meant just like any file, a PDF.
Yeah. I said AI file. It's an AI. Yes, it's any file. Most likely it's going to be a PDF or a doc file or something like that. And you give it the AI a prompt in your AI extract column, and it pulls the data out. It's slick.
Let's pause for a second on that, because while you and I are familiar with that as a platform, any of a multitude of systems, all the way back to Excel, have this concept of rows and columns.
Yep.
And for a given column, it's all the same kind of data. In this case, it would be a file related to any individual record, where each row is a record. But you're saying any files that you start to put into that appropriate column, AI will read all these file types, and you can query against the files instead of having to open each one.
It's crazy. It's super cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool. So that's
the super helpful column.
Yeah, no, those are in the super helpful column.
Yeah.
As far as the non-super helpful column, I'm trying to think of some good examples. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the in-your-faceness of their internal marketing.
Oh my God.
I don't know if your tools are getting out of control, but mine are like, buy now, check this out. And you're like, just go, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Just let me use the tool.
It feels like, again, dating myself, but I remember this moment in Minority Report where Tom Cruise is on the lam, but there's digital eyeball readers everywhere, and it's throwing custom ads at everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how my world feels right now, right? And so I open up my email, and it's full of spam and random shit. And then I open up, things on my phone, social media, 90% ads. I open up my applications where I'm trying to do work, and I'm still inundated. And what feels disingenuous to me is that I'm paying for that. I don't pay for Instagram, so I expect to be a bit of the product. But I'm paying for my work management tools. I'm paying for some of my other SaaS tools. It is a little bit obnoxious. Why do you think that is? Are they just so losing their minds over it, or they're trying to make?
I think they're losing their money.
Well, yeah.
Please, can I have a 2 pence, please? Please give me a 2 pence.
Please buy a little credit.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I think you're right. I mean, as a sidebar, over the years, you and I both have been involved using a variety of tools. And when I got involved with the Atlassian ecosystem with some measure of real intention as a byproduct of consulting, they've been public maybe 2 years. And so I bought a handful of shares and watched them go up 600%. And in the last 6 months, they're down 50%. So overall, I shouldn't complain. I'm still ahead. By contrast, I haven't had that same experience yet. Again, a handful of Monday shares, but also across the board, SaaS companies, these two in particular, but SaaS companies have taken a 50% haircut in their valuation. It's obnoxious. That does make sense. They're hungry for money. Please give us your money.
Yeah, they do need their money. Atlassian's actually done a really good job with their AI in their JQuery queries. So,
interesting.
AI, if you're, sorry, I said AI. Got AI on my mind. But if you go into Jira, and Jira's a ticketing system where you basically put in your tickets, and that a lot of times you're looking for specific tickets from specific people or specific timeframes. And they've actually done a fantastic job of just actually doing free type. I am looking for blah, 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 blah in this project, and it will actually give you the query that it uses to go and find the fields. And so like there's a lot of people doing a lot of smart things. The thing that's the one that's baffles me and kind of doesn't baffle me is Microsoft's Copilot.
Does that feel like a solution in search of a problem? I'm like, let go of my PowerPoint slide. I don't need your help. I'm not trying to overreach into my email that I'm drafting. You don't even know who I'm sending it to. I send swear words to Chris, but not to my mom. Know your audience here. Have you found value in Copilot, or is it just like the nosy neighbor that won't stay in their own yard.
It's almost like the new version of Clippy.
Oh, fucking Clippy. Oh, dude. I just Copilot equals Clippy in 2026. You heard it here, folks.
Some of you may not know who Clippy was.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's walk it
Clippy
back.
was a little paper clip that was in Excel that was going to be very helpful, and it was animated and it was very cute and not very helpful. And so
Absolutely useless.
there is a classic. This might be a myth, but there's a classic story of Bill Gates just losing his mind over Clippy. And I don't know if that,
or a bad way.
oh, in a bad way, like just absolutely hated it. And so it is funny that we've fast forwarded many, many, many moons. And now we have Copilot that is not as helpful.
No. Clippy to me was the equivalent of having front row seats to a playoff game and having the goddamn mascot shaking his ass in my face the whole time. I'm like, this is not why I'm here, and you're in my way. You're obstructing my whole goal here. So Copilot, the new Clippy. Yeah.
No, Copilot is interesting to me. Like, and we talk about process a lot. We can rag on Microsoft, but the reality is they've been in a enormous digital transformation over the last 5 to 10 years. And if you think about how big of a digital transformation that's been, it has been enormous.
Yeah. For an organization that has held that kind of market share for as long as they have, it's remarkable.
Yeah. What is it? Sadean Nadia? What's his name? Yeah. I said his first name wrong. But anyway, he basically held the line and said, hey, look, we're going online, which is a crazy deal to go from I don't know what code they use for Microsoft, probably Java or something, to something that's web-based that you can basically interact with. That is a completely different paradigm shift. And so I would say don't count Microsoft out, because they have had a long history of being a laggard that becomes basically right to the forefront. But I will say that process of them becoming having a modern tech stack infrastructure probably held them back, which is why they bought into OpenAI, which is, and yet people are using Anthropic to do their Excel stuff. It's really interesting to see how this is playing out.
What's weird to me, if we go back to the early 2000s, we would have one name associated with Microsoft, and that was Bill Gates.
Yep.
So when Stephen Ballmer, who was, employee number 6 or something like that, became CEO, I know that I was among many people saying, who the hell's this guy? And we had Apple, and it was Steve Jobs.
Yep.
And we had Salesforce, and it was Benioff.
Yep.
Right. I mean, so it was very simple, and we had these cult of personality kinds of leaders that are associated with tech. Fast forward, we're on sometimes our second or third generation of CEOs for these tech companies.
Yep.
Microsoft's a great example.
Yep.
And but what's interesting to me is that regardless of the CEO movement, they keep getting disrupted, and then they have to figure out how to innovate.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's super fascinating how these innovation cycles, to your point about don't count them out yet.
Yeah.
Microsoft had to play catch up when the internet launched.
Yeah.
And they were late to the game, and they launched Internet Explorer, which is now my least favorite browser, Edge. I don't understand that. But anyway, that's their issue, not mine. But it's fascinating. And to your point, they went from physical media to model.
Yeah.
I remember when Toby was one of the first to cut across, and everybody's like, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
Marketers have used the same set of tools. They might be 3 or 4 reps behind, but here we are. So the advent of everybody moving to the cloud, moving into a SaaS model was really critical. And we didn't realize how important that was going to be until we have AI, and we're trying to plug these things together.
Yep. And
in a SaaS world, it's a wildly different game than if you were trying to use AI with,
Yeah.
go reload disk number 3 to get Excel to work. You know, I just can't even imagine hardly.
Yeah. I remember like the Windows 95 CDs that you had to like,
Totally. I know. Yeah. I think the CD was anyway, we'll revisit that. We're going to read an appendix or explain things.
What's interesting is we currently are going through a bit of a paradigm between the big AI companies, which is ChatGPT, or OpenAI and Anthropic. Those are kind of the two racehorses.
Right.
And Anthropic leaned really hard onto the code side of the house. And they basically, and this could be my algorithm, so take this with a grain of salt, but I know a lot of people that went from ChatGPT to Claude because of the way that they are just managing files, and really they, from a code based standpoint, they basically said, hey, look, all these developers are developing code. And what most people don't know about code is like when you program code, you basically go out to some internet location. Most likely it's a Git location. And you basically download the code repository that you need to do your piece of the pie, right? And so Anthropic stayed very, very close to this kind of model of like, look, you dump a file folder, it's on your local machine, you go and do whatever you want on those local files. And then when you make a change, you test it and then you push it back to production. And so they stayed simple, and they stayed very with that code method, right? Which is literally like probably from the 1700s of we have a file cabinet.
Yeah.
You put your stuff in the file cabinet. You have an index or a card catalog that tells you where the stuff is. You pull the stuff out and you make a journal entry so that now I just paid you $1,000 or something like that. That's literally like how this stuff works. And from a technical standpoint, if you go to a website, no matter what website, on a server somewhere is this file folder structure with a backend database. It is the most fascinating thing. Fast forward to today, where it's almost like Anthropic is having their Google moment, right? And so you and I remember Alta Vista and Yahoo was really cool. And then all of a sudden, Google is like, you know what we should do is we should figure out what links are popular. And then you're like, all of a sudden you got significantly better results from Google, and they just won. Yeah. And I'm wondering if Anthropic is doing the same thing today, which is interesting in that they picked a path, they marched down that path, and they might have won dominance because of it. Who knows?
Yeah, it is interesting, Chris, because we're so early in this horse race.
Yeah.
And the learning curve is simply accelerating.
Yeah.
The moment that Claude hit my radar, honestly, was when more of the U.S. governmental bullshit, and they said Anthropic is out. We're going to award it all to OpenAI, and I think there's like this for even non-AI users or very casual users. They're like, well, fuck it, I'm done with those guys. You guys are putting the sticker fronts, so I'm going to go use the rebel Anthropic. That's when Claude really hit my dashboard, and that was just early 26. Yeah. And here we sit, in late spring, and I just think how fast this is moving.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And so I know that we've had chocolate, pure AI, and then we have it embedded over on the other side, the peanut butter with nuts, and there it is. And now there's also some experimentation where you can interlace independent AI system back into SaaS applications.
Yeah, they've got, what they've done with most SaaS solutions is they create an MCP. Forget what the acronym means.
It sounds very Tron.
It's very cool. But essentially you are writing in plain language to an LLM like Claude. Claude is translating that into what does the business layer want, and it's going and pulling it back. Now this is great, and it's actually pretty awesome until you put a bunch of business people that don't realize that they're coding in production. And we will start to see more news articles around, hey, CTO, whoever, or Joe business analyst went and did a thing and deleted the whole thing because the AIs, they're good actors, and not in a bad way, but like you ask them to go do something and they're like the best little mini employee that just does what you ask it to do. Maybe not what you want it to do, but what you ask it to do.
Well, and Chris, I think this is, and it took us 20 minutes to get here, but I think that this is the heart of the process debt element.
Yeah.
And I appreciate talking it through a little bit because it's a framing issue. The point you just made, though, today, a layperson, a non-developer without any structured practice,
Yep.
can act on their actual live operational system, managing their crown jewels. It's their business transactions, it's their financial systems.
Yep.
Any Tom, Dick, or Harry
Yep.
can now reach in and rewrite code. So it's not just Richard Pryor peeling off fractions of a penny. This could be anybody inside of your organization that has appropriate levels of permission. So the process debt elements in my mind to get immediately exacerbated become this question of how effective is access management and how do we experiment, and are we letting people experiment in the live environment? And then when they go awry and these effective actors are doing their job, how do we know that they've just created bad access? We're not smart enough yet, I don't feel like.
What's going to win, right, is high trust organizations where they trust their people, right? Smaller organizations where you can react quicker. Like those are the companies that are going to win, because the big companies have more to lose. And so the bigger companies will have more restrictions, more guardrails, more things that slow down people. And then they're going to get pressure from these up and comers that just are moving really fast until they, delete production. We literally, so this happened yesterday. A CEO of, one of our clients connected to their SaaS tool and went and added some stuff.
Okay.
And we're like, who did that? Where did that come from? And so the reality is this is the process debt. This is the process debt that you're not thinking about, which is you can go and add and subtract and take away. And the thing is it needs to follow a bit of a development path where you can do all sorts of stuff in production or all sorts of stuff in your dev environment, in your lower environments. But as it gets closer to production and as it gets closer to items that need to be maintained and are used by multiple people, it has to have more constraints and guardrails. And we will figure it out, but it's going to be messy along the way.
That's interesting, Chris. It just makes me think unknowingly this example CEO could have just bankrupt his process, and not in this case, but the risk is so significant. It's not just accumulation of debt, but it's swamping the whole canoe in one fell swoop.
And you're going in and making changes. And so again, you have to, this is where the humans have to be in the loop, or you have to have backups, right? Make sure that you're protected in that way.
Interesting.
AI and SaaS, what could possibly go wrong?
I think we'll have a lot more of this in the weeks ahead, simply because it's moving fast. And I feel like we're learning new things almost daily, depending on how close you are to it and in the nature of your work.
Yeah.
But you and I certainly see it showing up everywhere we turn in our digital worlds. So
cool, man.
Conversation. Thank you, sir.
Catch you next week.
All right. See you later.